Well, number one, I would definitely buy a franchise. I recommend this over and over again because, first, if you didn't have the money or you didn't have the skill set, I'd get the skills first, right? I'd go work for a franchise company or I'd go work for another local entrepreneur and really get a good understanding of business. But yes, I would invest in a franchise company.
Welcome to the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast, where we talk about all things franchising. Now, here's your host, Dr. John P. Hayes.
Hi, this is John Hayes with another episode of the Franchise Hot Seat, and my guest today is Ray Titus. Ray, thank you for taking some time to talk to me today and to address our audience of people interested in franchising.
No problem, John. Always a pleasure to speak to you and about our school and everything else that we have going on here in franchising.
Oh, great. So let's begin with this question. Why do so few people know about franchising as an opportunity?
You know, that's a great question, John. I think that and I've been up to Washington, D.C. and met the congressmen and senators, and it's so true. They really don't have a really good grasp. They know that McDonald's is a franchise, okay? Beyond that, they don't really fully get it, right? And understand what we do and how we do it and everything else. So I wish I had a better answer for you, but that is just the way it is. And I think that we could do a better job, all of us in franchising. You know, the International Franchise Association tries, and we try, and everybody's pushing to educate people on franchising and the benefits of franchising and giving you the best of both worlds with the large company that gives you the training and the support and the brand awareness with the local entrepreneur and the freedom to manage and run your own business. But you know, I've been in this for 40 years, and I know you're even longer than I am, John, and it's been the case ever since I've been in business, and it still is to this day.
Yeah. So, Ray, what's the biggest lie that people think about franchising?
That the big corporation is running a business, and they're not, okay? Or that these big corporations or big large brands are big companies, and not like us. We're privately held. We're a family-run business. And people look from the outside and they think United Franchise Group is a private equity firm and some large organization. And yes, it's 40 years and we built up a big company, but we're still privately held. And I have 3 sons in the business and 3 nephews in the business. But I think it's really that they miss the point that we're a local business and it's a local entrepreneur running the business, that it's usually a private individual or a family-run business that's local that gets the benefit of the branding and gets the benefit of the training and the mass purchasing power and everything else that we do for our franchisees together. So I think that to me, they look at franchising as it's Hilton, it's Marriott, it's McDonald's, it's Burger King, but it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, and that point that people think, I was on a tour bus in Key West last summer, and we passed a we passed a franchised restaurant that's very well known, and the bus driver wanted everybody to know that it's nice to have these big national brands in Key West, but it would be really nice if the tourists would support the local businesses. And that made me a little upset while I was on that tour. And I said to the driver afterwards, you realize that franchise with a national name is owned by perhaps one of your neighbors, somebody on or near this island who runs and operates that business. People just don't know that McDonald's is locally owned. It's not owned by McDonald's Corporation. That's a big misnomer.
Yeah, they think it's a chain of stores owned
Yeah,
by big corporation, and that's probably the biggest lie or the biggest
yeah,
misnomer that's out there is that we're entrepreneurial. It's entrepreneurs, it's local entrepreneurs that run and manage our businesses.
yeah,
We have 1,600 franchisees around the world,
yeah.
and I would say less than 1% are owned by large corporations or large companies. It's 99% owned by local entrepreneurs that build and grow their business
Yeah.
locally.
Good. So you're positioned in the middle of a multi-generational franchise family. Very few people are in your unique position. Your father founded Minuteman Press, and then many years later, you founded Sinorama, and you've got three sons who are now operating, overseeing franchise brands as well. Besides, how does that make you feel? Which has to be tremendous. How have things changed in this like 50 some year span in franchising?
Well, I've seen incredible changes. First of all, I have to say I'm blessed to be in the spot that I'm in, and I'm extremely proud of my boys and family, and thankful for my dad and what he did in the early years of franchising. You know, he goes 1972 opening up the first Minuteman Press, and so I remember when that was an idea on our dining room table,
Yeah,
the little clock man and their logo and
yeah,
everything else, and it was a family business, right? And so my eighth grade school paper was how to start a franchise company, and I just grew up in franchising, and I have my dad to really thank for that and training and his key people that took me under their wings and trained me and worked with me. So I'm very thankful for that. I'm thankful for moving out of New York and to Florida at an early
yeah,
stage. That was the, 1989 that we moved our company out of New York and to Florida. I wish I could tell you that I had a crystal ball and could see what was going to happen, but it wasn't that way. It was just I went to college in Florida and love Florida, and it's really worked out well. To your second question regarding the changes, and John, you and I both have lived through these changes,
yeah,
right? So when I started Sinorama in 1986, there was no internet, there was no cell phones, there was no GPS, right? So we've gone through all of these changes, and I think the key in business, whether you're a franchise organization, whether you're a privately held company that's not franchising, whoever you are, it doesn't matter. I think the key to business is embracing change and seeing that the world keeps changing faster and faster and faster, faster than any of us,
yeah,
can even do on our own, right? With AI today, I've read 3 books. I've been to 3 seminars on AI. We're embracing AI. We've invested in an AI company. So I think the key over the years, John, is embracing these changes
mm,
from, digital printing to, you name it.
yeah,
I remember, quick story. I remember my general manager when we were just had Sinorama, and he came in my office and he was pitch white, John. He looked like he saw a ghost or that he was sick. And I said, "Are you okay?" And he looked at me and he said, "I've seen the end of the vinyl sign business." And I said, "What is that?" And he said, "Digital printing, it's going to put us out of business."
mm,
I said, "JJ, everything that I've seen about digital printing, we could add a digital printer in our package and have all our franchise owners have digital printing in their stores and not even miss a beat and actually make it better." And he looked at me and he said, "That's why you're the CEO." And we just laughed, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We
Yeah.
embraced the changes. And but it's easy to get concerned or nervous about some of these technology advances that are going on and have been going on for many, many years. AI is not the first big change. I mean, you look at this and it's a big change, and it's something we need to embrace and understand. And I do feel like there's got to be some guardrails put on AI, or it could get a little dangerous. But it is also extremely powerful and helpful in building the business, right? We're looking at AI not just for tasks. A lot of people look at it for email or content for social media, or and that's great. It works for all those things, but we really look at it as a thought partner, John. Like, it is kind of like having a partner next to you
Yeah.
that has access to everything. And we just last year made a purchase. We purchased a company called Black Optics Tint. And just for kicks, after we had done our work and due diligence, I typed in ChatGPT and said, should United Franchise Group buy Black Optics Tint Franchise Company, and why? Give me a list. It's all about the prompts. It's all about how you ask it questions, right?
Exactly,
And
right.
give me a list of pros and cons, and summarize it at the end and tell me whether we should do this deal or not.
Yeah.
And it came back and said, United Franchise Group should purchase Black Optics Tint because Signorama stores get a lot of leads for tinting and they don't do tint.
Wow.
And I was like,
Great confirmation.
it really was nice to get that confirmation, as you're saying, right? But we use it that way.
So with Minuteman Press, your dad built one of the most successful franchise systems ever in the world. More than 50 years of franchising. So what was his special gift to franchising?
My dad was a risk taker, and he was a tremendous entrepreneur. He built tremendous loyalty with his people and growth areas with them, and could see an opportunity. But I think his biggest focus was understanding that no franchise owner wants to be a franchise of one. You can't have mass purchasing power, cooperative advertising. You can't have everything, training, research and development. You can't have everything if there's only a couple of franchisees.
Yeah.
So his focus on franchise sales and growth, and building and growing that brand, I think that was really his specialty, and what made it really special. To this day, my nephew is the president, and my older brother still, and his family, they own the company still.
Mhm.
So it's still family run, and it's been, over 50 years. And I'm so proud of, the job that they've done with my dad's company, and taking it to the next level and keep building and growing it. It's great to see. It's really, really good. And while I'm not involved, and many, many years ago, we split our assets and traded stock and worked out that whole deal. I still keep an eye on them and see them from time to time, and it's good to see what they've done. They've done a really good job.
So if someone tells you today that they want to buy a franchise because they hate their job or they hate their boss, what do you tell them?
It's funny you asked that question, John, because today we've got 7 Discovery Day tours, and I'll probably get told that by 4 or 5 of them, right? And so, look, we want to focus on the individual, the entrepreneur, and their strengths, right? So we want to look at, what are they bringing to the table, and what is the brand bringing to the table, and being able to work together to make sure that it's a good fit, right? We don't want to just sell a franchise to anybody. You want to make sure that they can be successful in the brand and with the company. And so you do the best you can. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows how hard people are going to work, how closely they're going to follow the programs, and, whether they'll listen or not. My dad always used to say, always remember you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink it, right? And so that's the franchise owner that's got to take it all in and execute on it. And, we get a very small percentage compared to the franchisees. So they have to do more of the work, right? And so when we go through a discovery day or when we meet people that want to buy a franchise, we want to make sure it's a good fit. Are the skills needed going to be more marketing and sales oriented, or is it going to be more operational minded? Because we have different brands. If somebody came to me and wants to buy get into the restaurant business with the Great Greek, it's hard to run a restaurant if you've never done it before, or you've never worked in the industry before. And I think understanding the hours that they put in and the customer service, that's needed, and quality controls, because it's food, right? And so people could get sick and hurt. So you got to be really mindful of that. So each franchise is run a little differently. Each franchise has a brand president and has their own team. And they follow their, different rules and regulations and their game plan for success. So we try to match up the people best we can with that. Now, today we'll have a Discovery Day tour with someone that's looking to be a master partner in another country, and that's them becoming us in that country, which is pretty neat to see and kind of go through. So, again, try to match up the skills and the people with that.
So if you're 25 years old all over again, and let's say you have $100,000 that you could invest, would you buy a franchise? And if so, what type of franchise?
Well, number one, I would definitely buy a franchise. I recommend this over and over again because, first, if you didn't have the money or you didn't have the skill set, I'd get the skills first, right? I'd go work for a franchise company, or I'd go work for another local entrepreneur and really get a good understanding of business. But yes, I would invest in a franchise company, and I would look at, different factors. When we started in business, John, the number one reason people failed in business was a lack of knowledge. They didn't know what they were doing, right? Mm-hmm. Today, very few people fail because of a lack of knowledge, right? When you can sit on your couch and you can say, Alexa, how do I get past the front receptionist to sell my products? And they, when you can, it's that easy to get information today. People fail because they either don't follow a system or don't have a system, or they're lazy and they don't work, or they don't have the proper funding for the business that they get into, right? So if I had $100,000 and I was 25 years old, I would look for a business like Transworld, where the investment's under $100,000. It's sales and marketing oriented and customer service, but that would meet me. Like, that would be a good fit for me. Or Exit Factor consulting, but probably Transworld, because I'm more of a hunter than a farmer. And, so if I was looking that way, I probably lean that way. And obviously Sinorama or Fully Promoted, which are promotional products, are good for sales and marketing backgrounds as well.
So take us back 10 years. You decided to endow a center to concentrate on teaching college students about franchising. And how'd that happen? Where'd that idea come from?
Well, it's kind of interesting, John. I was invited to a large manufacturing plant up in South Dakota, a company called Daktronics, which is a scoreboard company, right? So if you look in most arenas, most like Dolphin Stadium or anywhere else, you'll see the little DAK, Daktronics on the bottom, and they do scoreboards, and Sinorama had done some business with them. And we went up there to work out a program for wholesaling scoreboards and doing different things. So while I was up there, I'm in the middle of like, I got to tell you, I was in South Dakota that I had not been to before, and it felt like I was on another planet. I was in another world, right? And there was nothing. And I go into this place and this building, and I see one kid after the other, young, sharp, really, special all over the building. And finally, I said to the owner, I said, how are you finding all these young, sharp people in South Dakota, right? And he said, oh, that's easy. I'm a professor in the school, in the university, and I get my pick of the litter every single year. And I just went, wow. And so I'm not a professor, right? So how am I going to do this? And I got with my wife and we prayed about it and talked and went through everything. And, I've been very blessed over the years. So we decided, and I met with the president of the school at Palm Beach Atlantic University, which is next to our church, right? And
Yeah.
so our oldest son graduated from Palm Beach Atlantic. It's got a real Christian background and it's run that way, which is what we were looking for as well. So I wanted to tie in doing something locally and leading by example for our franchise owners, but I also wanted to do something that would benefit the local kids, the students at the school, and that maybe something that we could benefit from if we did it right down the road. But that wasn't the reason we were doing it, right? We wanted to do it for the right reasons, and we knew we could get a benefit that students could go through this schooling and end up working with us, and that's great. We do internships and everything there, and that, John, with all the other companies, but that wasn't the driving force. The driving force was franchising. How do we get franchising education to these youngsters and change what we were talking about earlier by people not understanding franchising, right? We got to get them younger. We got to get them in the universities. So we decided to make a large investment into that. And the president at Palm Beach Atlantic, Bill and I had lunch and we went through it, and typical old time story, napkin out we were at a barbecue place, and napkin out, a PA barbecue, and we start writing on a napkin. I'm saying, this is what I'm thinking about. He's saying, this is what it's going to take to do that. And we kind of went back and forth about the whole thing. And it really needed a driving force behind it. I mean, this was the foundation that we were setting, but if we didn't have an individual, it really wasn't going to go very far, right? And that's where you came in, right? And that's when I reached out to you, and you were in Kuwait, and the timing worked out really, really well, and I think I remember saying to you, John, on your way to Dallas, why don't you stop in West Palm Beach just to say hi and let's talk, right? And once you'd made that stop here, I think the rest was history, because it's pretty easy to fall in love with West Palm Beach, right?
Yes.
And Palm Beach Atlantic University, and doing something special like the Titus Franchise Center is, and you've done an incredible job, John, leading it, and couldn't ask for you took that foundation and you took what we had, that idea, and then what we had kind of planned, and you breathed life into it. You did that, and so you have a lot to be proud of, and I think you yourself has told me before, while that's all great, it's the relationship with the kids, okay, that really, really makes the difference. And I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, look, we have brand presidents today that went through the program.
Mm-hmm.
We have the graduates of Palm Beach Atlantic University or the Titus Franchise Center. We have from presidents and VPs of ops to all kinds of employees every year, and it's just great to see. And so I'm thankful for it, and what the job we've all done to build it, and then you're leading. and now with Martha coming on board and grabbing that, it's exciting to see, where the school can go with it and grow it.
When we go back to the beginning and talk about this, and I did stop in West Palm Beach and to meet Bill Fleming, the president of the university at the time, who I love very much. He embraced franchising from the beginning. He had a great relationship with you, and that provided a lot of support to get the Titus Center off the ground. There were students who knew nothing about franchising. In the first year, I was concerned that no one was going to sign up for a franchise course because they didn't know what that was. And I loved the 7 years that I had spent in Kuwait teaching there, and it was tax-free money. It was a wonderful experience, but it was a far, far, far trip from home and from my grandchildren back in the United States. So it was great to come here and build something. But again, we go back to nobody knows anything about franchising. These students were studying marketing or accounting or international business. So I had to get out there and explain to them, if you add franchising to your degree, you are going to secure your, that's going to be the payoff for the amount of money that you spend in your education. Because yeah, it's great to have a marketing degree, but marketing people have a tough time finding jobs. Not franchise marketing people, because there are people like Ray Titus who need those folks. It's not just franchisees that franchisors need. It's accountants. It's international people. It's management people. It could be an English major, communications major, political science major. All of these folks can study franchising and benefit from it.
Yes.
And of course they have. Had you, at this time when you were considering, you had AJ, your son, at PBA, did you meet other PBA students and realize the quality of the student there?
Oh yeah. I mean, look, Andrea and I, we still to this day go to church next door
Yeah,
every Sunday, right? And so I'm meeting those kids every single week, right?
yeah,
Whether it's just saying hi or having a cup of coffee and talking and seeing the way they interact. Look, to me, when I saw the respect, the just how good they were, and over again, their dreams and aspirations. We had started a business plan contest with the school
I
at
remember that.
first,
Uh-huh.
right? And JJ's entrepreneurs, and we had great experiences with that, and really enjoyed that. And my father-in-law was JJ, and he was our general manager, and he passed away from a brain tumor. And we really had a tremendous relationship. We worked together for 20 years. But we were up at the Mayo Clinic, and he said to me, I don't know what my legacy is going to be. And we started talking about his history and his background and everything, and what his legacy would be left behind for others to
Yeah.
see. And that's really where the JJ's entrepreneurs came about, and the scholarship that we do and at the Titus Franchise Center, and that's what kind of led us down that path. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Having Bill early on as the president was imperative. Like we were on the phone with each other every other day,
Yeah.
going through the different hurdles and challenges, right? That having business in a university presents, right? I'm an entrepreneur who's used to just getting things done, right? And just blasting ahead, not worrying about what's left behind and everything else, because I have people that clean it up, right?
Mhm.
And they understand what goes on. Well, it doesn't work that way in a university, and you've got to really be conscious of that. And you know better than anyone, John, how it works, and
I know.
we've gotten really good at that. But I'm really proud that if I look back now, I don't know how many different schools have embraced franchising,
Mhm.
right, out there. But we were the first ones to really do this the way we've done it, and grow it the way we have. To have that as, like, I don't know if we'll always be the biggest one, because we're in a small Christian
Exactly.
school in West Palm Beach, Florida, right?
Wow.
Palm Beach Atlantic. But I will always be able to say we were the first ones, and I think
Exactly.
we're the best one. We have
Well,
the
thank you.
highest quality. So,
Yeah, we do have
uh,
high quality. And we are the only one to this day that I'm aware of, 10 years after you made the investment, to offer a concentration. We also have a major now in entrepreneurship and franchising that's becoming very popular. But prior to
yeah,
that, we had only the concentration in franchising, which is not a minor, but it's the next step below. It takes 12 credit hours. And I don't know why more universities don't do that. In fact, why don't more universities embrace teaching franchising? Our little university, with about 3,500 students climbing up toward 4,800 of them in the business school, about 10% of the students in the business school come through the Titus Center. And it makes a huge difference in their lives, as they tell us over and over. Some become franchisees and some create their own businesses. One is specializing. I've never taught this, and you would know more about it than I would. And you probably have some franchisees who are on military bases. He went out, and this young man, and he said it was a 60-page application to get a government contract to open a restaurant on a military base in California. So he's done that
yeah,
once. Now he's going to do it 50 more times, and he's going to help other people do it. That came out of the
that's
Titus
great.
Center. It changed that young man's life totally. It's just amazing to me how that happens.
I
So
love the
these,
idea, John, that we changed their lives, but we changed their resume,
yeah,
right? Like now they've got some knowledge in another field, and the mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make that are that take their brand or take their company and turn it into a franchise is they think it's just a continuation of what they currently have been doing. And it is like going into another business.
hmm,
So somebody that has done a great job with a bike store or a coffee shop going into franchising a bike store or a coffee shop, it's different customers, it's different vendors, it's completely different. And you need different people that run those organizations. So
yeah,
we deal with that a lot here as well because we have accurate franchising that turns people's ideas or businesses into franchises. And then we help sell their franchises or work with them. And then maybe down the road we invest in them or other things. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Seeing what some of the students have done,
yeah,
in the franchising world, it's just amazing.
it is.
And so we want to be a conduit for that. We want to help them. I want to continuously be a mentor for them and be here. I'm meeting with another one this week that has started their business and they're doing a mapping. They're doing
Yeah,
a mapping
yeah,
business where
yeah.
for territories and mapping for franchise
Amazing.
companies, and you're familiar with them.
Oh, yeah, those
But
guys
I'm
are just
meeting with
terrific.
them. Yeah, it's. I think it's just awesome to see, and I want to help them. And it's our give back, right?
Yeah,
I mean, each of us should leave this earth having made it a little better,
mhm,
right? And what are you doing to mentor somebody else? What are you doing to help somebody else? Take it to the next step. And to me, our franchising school is a perfect example of that.
So when Bill and I first got together, I didn't know that there would be a fundraising aspect to the job, or I might have turned it down because I've never think of myself as a fundraiser. I can sell, but I was not a traditional fundraiser. So I needed a board. I needed some folks because your money was endowed and it earns interest, and that helps the Titus Center today, and it builds the endowment as well. But we needed operating capital, and the university was not in a position to even give us five, 10, $20,000 at the time. So if we wanted to do things to help our students and to bring in speakers and to travel and to get to the IFA convention, we had 5 students at the IFA convention this not too long ago. IFA gives us the tickets, fortunately, but we still have to pay for transportation. Well, in order to do those things, we needed a board. And Bill said, see if maybe you could get 10, 12 franchise professionals to come together, come on campus, meet a couple times a year, meet the students. All that sounded great. And he said, come up with an amount of money. And so we landed on $5,000 over a 2-year period. If you would donate that, we're a nonprofit. And I sent out 40 letters by mail on a Wednesday. And within a week's time, I called Bill and I said, Bill, I've got a good start here. I have about 40 people who have agreed to be on our advisory board. And he said, that's a great start, John. You got 4 people. That's amazing. And I said, no, I said 40. And he said, that's not possible. Nobody has a board of 40 people giving us money every year. And I said, well, we're at about 36 right now. We'll get to 40. And we went on to 80, 90 people. We got large enough that at the time, we were almost meeting the capacity of the room, the only room we had available for those board meetings. But that also demonstrated to you and to me that people want to support franchise education. And they continue to do this. And you inspired, with Titus Center, you inspired other entrepreneurs, franchisors who decided they're going to establish a center as well. Shelley Sun at the University of Tennessee, others around the country. There are about 6 or 7 universities that have programs that are similar to ours. Some are part-time, some only teach in the MBA program, some only teach online, and we teach in the classroom. We teach occasionally online as well, but mostly in the classroom. So there is a desire among franchise people to give back. And you have inspired that, Ray, and that will continue to be the case, I believe.
Well, I hope so. And look, the Titus Center of Franchising is going to be part of my legacy down the road, right? And we want to make sure that that's handled properly and grown. But we're also an open book, right? You and I share everything with these people. And I know we've actually helped some of these schools start. And I look at it as it's a big positive. Like we're not in a competition with them. We want to see more and more people do this to grow and franchising and educate this next generation and the next generations to come on franchising. So it's great to see. Recently, we did a donation to Sanford for their incubator program that they have there. And my youngest son graduated from Sanford in Birmingham, Alabama, and we wanted to do a give back there. And again, not a franchise school. It's different. It's an incubator of businesses there. But I think there's a tie-in, just like you said, entrepreneurship and franchising. A major look, I think they go together. They go hand in hand because how many franchisees are entrepreneurs? Like you would take a step back and go, all of them. There's a difference between starting I think there can be differences, obviously, but there's a lot more similarities than there are differences. So there's a benefit that an entrepreneur goes into a franchise or becomes an entrepreneur through being a franchise, right? Contrary to what other people think, we're not looking for robots. We're not looking for people that are just we get our best ideas from our franchisees. Give them enough room to grow and come up with those ideas. And then our job is to facilitate those ideas out to the whole system and get that out to the other franchise owners, right? So the little room that you got to give them some room to grow and come up with some of those ideas. As you know, in franchising, there's tremendous success stories of franchisees coming up with the next greatest, whether it's the Big Mac or whatever it is, right? That came along. And for us, it's no different, but it's giving them the freedom and then listening and executing with them, right? And so, I remember when I started in business and I was 23 years old with my dad, and there was a warehouse guy, and I said, "Why don't we do this?" And he said, "Ray, that's not the way we do it here. Okay. This is the way we do it." And, and that was it. And I was kind of like, you know what? That's not good enough for me. I'm not gonna, I mean, that's their company, and my dad and my older brother, they had their ways, and God bless, they did great. But for me, I couldn't accept that's the way we always do things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I had to start my own and get out of that shadow. And I think starting Cinerama and a lot of people don't realize this, but I got married. Andrea and I got married in '89, and we moved to Florida in '89. I had told her someday we're going to move to Florida, and someday came 4 months later after we got married, right? And so Andrea and I have been on this, roll for a long time, right? 1989 is when we got married. So you can do the math, and it's we've been married for 36 years, and she's been a tremendous partner for me. When you're in business and do what we do every day, and you deal every single day, you need a partner that isn't going to challenge you. You need a partner that's going to support, and she has been that for me, and tenfold over. And for me, I look at it as such a blessing for us to be able to walk in the morning and walk the dog and stay in shape, right?
Yeah.
And so I actually have to work out this next month, John, because we have the 3-point shooting contest that we do every
Oh, that's
year
right.
here at
Yeah,
UG.
you've got your own
And
basketball court.
we got a basketball court here, and I got to get my shooting down
Yes.
going into that, because I've got this one guy. He's got a target on his back, and he doesn't know it. He's a young guy in the company. He's doing a good job, but I just gotta whoop his butt this
Right.
year. So that's just the
Good.
the competition is great, but
Yeah.
we have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah,
And
you sure do.
you have to make it fun, John.
Yeah.
You know that with the
Yeah,
students and everything
exactly.
else. There's got to be a bigger meaning behind it. There's also got to be some fun involved,
Yeah.
and you got to balance between that, and that's critical.
So PBA is a Christian university and the only one with a center that focuses on franchise education. How important was that faith and being at a Christian university and your way of thinking about leadership and franchising and giving back?
I wouldn't have done it without that. I wouldn't have done it if this was not faith-based, if this was not a Christian school, we would not have done it. It's that important. And I think there's a lot of people out there that don't believe that if you're a Christian that you can be a real good business person. And I want to put that to rest, okay? Because you can be a great business person, and you can follow Jesus, and you can be a great leader in your community and in business, and still balance that with a Christian background and a thought process that way. And so I think it's been a key part for us in United Franchise Group. We have Jewish employees, we have Muslim employees, we have all kinds, right? And so from all different backgrounds. And what I try to do is I don't preach to them, but I lead by example. And if they want what I have and what I talk about, they know where to go. And that's going to be, a good local church. Ours is Family Church. We love Jimmy Scroggins and what he stands for, and the church and what it stands for. But I would not have done the gift. I would not be standing behind the university if they didn't have a Christian belief, and that's how important it is to me.
So when you and President Fleming first met to talk about creating Titus Center, what was your vision? Did you think it would become what it's grown to in less than 10 years? Or are we further ahead? Are we behind? What did you see as the vision at the time?
Um, good question. I think we're further ahead than I would have thought. But if I go back and say what was the thought process, it was really to get into the school, train them on franchising, let them understand what it's all about, and then go from there. But I think the job you've done, John, with bringing in so many other companies and so many good people in franchising to speak to them, and be board members at the Titus Franchise Center and do what they've done. I think it's taken us up a notches and really done a great job. I think we have to be mindful of that and what we've done and how we've done it for the future as well. I think there's tremendous opportunity. I mean, look, I think that I would love to see either an outside company or the university get involved and help funding some of the students in the businesses. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them taking an ownership stake in some of these businesses,
Yeah.
and I think they could do even more. But I think entrepreneurial, right? And
Yeah.
and they don't think that way always,
No,
right?
not
And
at a
so,
university.
right, and so I always gotta cool my jets a little bit on
Yes.
that, and but I look at it as if I was running that university, I would
Yeah,
have an ownership stake in every one of these businesses, and
absolutely.
and we would have distribution checks coming from everywhere, all over the world, and
Yeah.
and and maybe that will happen someday.
Yeah, maybe.
I would love to see it perpetuate others, like have that give back, but have them start businesses and they give back for others, and really drive this school to be even bigger and better. And at some point, maybe license it, John, out to others. That's something that you and I've talked about, and
Yeah.
others for years, and that may be something that we consider as we go forward.
Yeah.
But what? I think the sky's the limit, and it started with Bill and I in PA barbecue having lunch, writing it out on a napkin, and then the baton gets passed to John Hayes, and John takes it and he runs. And wins a lot of Olympic gold medals in building and growing this school, and now we have Martha coming in, and now we're going to start talking about how do we take this to another level, and that's exciting. Strategic planning and
Yeah.
and everything else that we do with our company, we do with the university, and kind of think about. I know what it's meant to the university because it really has differentiated Palm Beach Atlantic University to have their own school in franchising and to
Yeah.
be able to offer that out there. And so I think that that's pretty neat that both the university and the Titus Center for Franchising have excelled because of each other.
Absolutely. I hope more universities see that and understand how we have helped our students, particularly in a time when an economy is struggling and jobs are not as plentiful. Our students, franchise students, don't have to look for a job very long. They usually those jobs, particularly through our massive board, those jobs are coming to the students. They're lined up way before they graduate. So a
Yeah, we're
final
fighting
question is,
as
go ahead.
employers, John. We're fighting for those kids,
Yeah,
right? We
exactly.
we want them.
Yeah, I love to see that happening. So what would your father, Roy Titus, what would he say if he walked into the Titus Center and saw what we're doing today?
I think my dad would be very proud that we've taken the steps that we have as an organization.
Yeah.
He would want us to keep our feet on the ground, though. Like I remember when I toured him around our building here, and we have 60,000 square feet, and it's I'm talking to you from our studio, and
Yeah.
it's impressive. And I said, Dad, did you like the tour? And he said, I loved it because it's all on one floor. And
Yeah.
I thought that had something to do with him being 80 years old
Yeah.
and not wanting to climb stairs.
Yeah.
And we were laughing about it, right? And he said, "You don't get it, do you?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, no matter how big you get and the company gets, your feet need to stay on the ground.
Wow, good point.
Don't get the ivory tower syndrome and have a tower and get the corner office up there, because you won't know what's going on down on the street. And my dad was always very, very street smart, very, very street smart, and passed that on to us. Like, so that is something that we consider as we build and grow. And I know we're going into a new building that's more than one story and it's up
Right.
there, but I don't want to lose what made us successful in the first place, John, and that culture of having our feet on the ground, of starting a business with a napkin at PA Barbecue. I don't want us to lose that history, and that's why I love coming on this podcast and kind of talking through it, so we can make sure that people always remember where we came from.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Ray, and that really wraps it up. I've held you longer than I knew you had planned. I know you got a lot going on with Discovery Days over there, so thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Always my pleasure, John, and thank you for all you do. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for tuning in to the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast with Dr. John P. Hayes. Tune in next time for more conversation around all things franchising.